Welcome, 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 everybody. It is another Tuesday. I was on a cruise last week, which is why we did not have a WDD live. My parting gift on that cruise was apparently a sinus infection or cold or something of some sort. I didn't know if we were going to do this stream today because I didn't know how I was going to feel. I started getting sick the night before last. Yeah. And then I was like, well, we'll see how bad it gets tonight. And it was pretty bad overnight. I think I woke up at 4 a.m. I've been awake since 4 a.m. Did not get much sleep. It was not comfortable. It was not a comfortable night. I don't like to load up on medicine and things like that. I stay away from most medicine most of the times. So I just deal with it. And it was not a great night. It was not a great time. I'm very low on sleep. My sinuses are all messed up. It's just not a good day. It's not a good day, but we're going to push through. I didn't want to cancel the stream. Because I'm here. I'm here. I can breathe. I can talk. I can sit in a chair. Okay. It's not that much to ask. I might have a little bit less energy than normal. I don't know how long the stream can go, but we're going to be here. We're going to hang out. We're going to look at some things. We're going to look at some important things. We're going to talk about some stuff, and we're going to give you guys some good insights because we're doing important work. I mean, that's the reality of what's happening here. We're doing a lot of very important, innovative work, things that people have never seen before in this space, and we should look at it and we should talk about it, and we should have some fun, and we should answer some questions. Okay, that's what we should do here. So we're going to take a first look at Etch's new Mini-GUI, as we're calling it. It doesn't really have an official name, but it is a GUI and it is mini. So I feel like Mini-GUI is, at least for now, a decent name. It'll probably get some sort of, more official corporate-y style name at some point, or maybe not. I don't know. Or maybe not. What we have to talk about, well, two things. Number one, I am going to ask you as we go through this to use your imagination a little bit, because this is the proof of concept of this feature. This is not fully working. This is not in its final form. This is not anywhere close to how we want it to ultimately be as a workflow, but it is going to give you a taste, and we are going to talk about how it is going to evolve rapidly. And that should give you some really good ideas, but you do have to use your imagination a little bit as we go through this. That would be number one. Number two, we have to talk about the context and the concept of styling panels, CSS styling panels, and why they need to be replaced. Because a lot of people are probably like, well, I would expect Etch to have styling panels like every other builder on earth has styling panels. So when you talk about why it's not going to, it's a radical departure. It's a radical departure from what every other tool has always done. And there are very good reasons why it is a radical departure. And if you understand those reasons and you start to put two and two together, you realize, oh yeah, it is time for a new approach. It is time for a new approach. So that's kind of the case that I'm going to be making today. Drop a like on the stream. CSS quick actions actually sounds good. Quick actions toolbar or whatever sounds nice. Yeah. I mean, there's a few ways we could go. Okay. If you have questions, #Q. If you want a demo, #demo. I do want you to remind me when we get to the question phase to search for #demo. I tell you, put #demo, and then I always forget to search for it. Okay, so, if I forget to search, then remind me, okay? Remind me. Cold naturally lasts 7 days, and with medicine, it takes a week. So what I'm hoping, because this is my pattern in the past, the one thing I do take, I load up immediately the first sign of symptoms. Well, my first sign of symptoms the first night was at like 2 a.m., and I didn't even have any on hand to take, so I couldn't take, I had to wait. It took me till like 9 a.m. to get the first dose in, but it usually does help tremendously, and that is I crush it with zinc, like as quickly as possible. I just load up on zinc. And so what I'm hoping is I got it early enough with the zinc that it's gonna do what it's doing right now and then kind of fizzle out. That's really what I'm hoping for. And that's happened multiple times in the past. So, my immune system is typically I very rarely get sick. It's rock solid, right? So it just needs a little help sometimes. And I'm hoping that I got it quick enough. Okay, let me share the screen. Let me share what we've got going on. I'm gonna actually hop into bricks, okay? Now, I've said before, this is not picking on bricks by any means. Every visual builder on the face of the earth that I know of uses CSS styling panels, this concept of styling panels. And because, you could see this as a knock, I guess. Because bricks didn't really do any innovation in this area, and most don't. It looks like all the others. If you pull up Elementor and you pull up bricks and you look at the styling, it's very, very, very similar. It's just some slight UI differences and stuff. But it's very, very similar. Pull up Beaver Builder, pull up Generate, pull up, you name it. Pull up Webflow, pull up Wix, pull up, I haven't looked at Squarespace in years. I don't know, but you get it, right? You get it. They all do the same thing. They all are taking the same exact approach. And sometimes, awkwardly, they mix content and style, which you see here is here's a content tab with styling options, which is odd. And then you go to style and there's the styling options, and it's very, I'm gonna go through the TLDR. I've done an entire live stream, okay? You might not have been here for it, and I'm not gonna redo it. I can't redo every live stream I've already done. I did an entire live stream where I deep dived and we went step by step and we looked at every problem with styling inputs, okay? Let me pull up my notes to make sure that we're gonna stay on track here, because there's kind of a lot to cover. And I want to TLDR it because I don't want to get into the entire topic again. I just want to make sure that you're on the same page, okay? First of all, let's talk about what is the point of this? What is the objective? Why do these? I didn't even realize that happens now. It puts the one that's open at the top. So layout. Hold on. I can't scroll. Okay. All right. Even their improvements are not improvements. Okay, so what does this style panel attempt to accomplish? One, the idea is that you write less CSS. CSS is the language of styling things on the web. The idea is that you write less CSS because you can just click, 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 and the CSS gets written for you. So that's number one. You write less, you type less. A second thing that they attempt to accomplish is if a user doesn't know CSS, they can still style things. So I can come in, and if I wanted to add a background color to this, I could go to the background area and I could find this thing that says background color, and I could click a swatch and voila. Okay, we added a background color. I don't know how to write CSS. Now, mind you that all you needed to do that was to write the words you see right there, okay? And then the value of black, and you would have got the exact same thing. So, one of the arguments is that, the CSS that style panels actually cover is not really that difficult at all. So, and a user still has to know. I've watched users, they're like, how do I round the corners? And so a user that truly doesn't know what they're doing, how do I round the corners? And they're looking in here, border, rounding corner, where are the rounding corners? They don't use the right terminology, so they don't even know what to look for. So the style panels don't help as much as people suggest that they do when it comes to people who don't know what they're doing, right? But one of the downsides, obviously, is that if you're trying to learn, it does inhibit you from learning. It makes it much harder to learn. Okay, we'll cover all the downsides in just a minute. But one of the proposed benefits is that, if a user doesn't know CSS, then these panels empower them, Kevin, to do things that they otherwise wouldn't be able to do. And that's true. That's true. It's not the best way to empower them, but it does empower them. It's just not the best way, right? Okay, so what is another thing that these panels attempt to accomplish? Well, we're told that they allow you to work faster. They allow you to work faster. Okay, so if you had to write the CSS, it'd be much slower than if you use these styling panels. That is true in certain scenarios. It is not true in all scenarios. It is not true in many scenarios. In many scenarios, it is way slower. And then, of course, you have to factor in all of the downsides, right? And so before we get to the downsides, because again, this is a TLDR, this is not a deep dive. If you want a live stream where I literally demonstrate this, it exists. You can go watch it. We're not going to reiterate that entire live stream, okay? But it does exist. It does exist. Are style panels the only way to accomplish those objectives? The answer is no, okay? Are they the best way to accomplish those objectives? Up until now they were, but that's not the case any longer because that's the only way. That's the only way we were ever given was this. This was the only thing that people have ever seen. So this is like saying, are horses the best way to get around? Well, yeah, they were definitely the best way to get around until cars came, okay? But once you have cars, you look at a horse and you're like, it's really not the best way to get around. You see, like up to a certain point, something can be true and then it is no longer true. And that's kind of what's happening with style panels. So we know what we're trying to accomplish. Do we want to write less CSS? First of all, do we want to write less CSS? I am fairly good at CSS. I want to write less CSS. I would like to write less CSS. I do not enjoy typing things over and over and over again. If I could just click a button and it would be written for me and it writes it the way I would write it. And if that could happen, I am not sitting here going, we should all just type for the sake of typing. That's what we should do. That's not the argument I'm making. I want to write less CSS. I just don't want the downsides of styling panels, right? There are consequences to having these tools do certain things. I don't want the consequences of that. So if you're going to say, I'll write it for you, but there's a lot of consequences. Well, no, I'm not going to take that trade-off. But if you say, I'll write it for you and there's no consequences, oh, fantastic. Fantastic, right? Let's do that. Let's do that. Because who doesn't want to write less CSS? It's obvious. It's obvious. Okay, so do we want to enable users who don't know CSS to style things? Well, of course we do. If we could give them a helping hand, why would we not give them a helping hand? As long as there's no consequences. Now, if we're going to put these tools in front of them and there's a laundry list of bad downsides and consequences to doing that, then no, I don't think that that's really a benefit. Can we work faster in some scenarios? Well, if you force me into this workflow of style panels, and it is faster in some scenarios, but way slower in other areas, to the point where I very often find myself going to CSS and writing a lot of CSS because the style panels themselves either can't accomplish something or would be too slow or too disorganized. What you've done is you forced me into a disjointed workflow and a hyper inefficient workflow where things are happening all over the place. And there's a lot of downsides. I don't want to be involved in that. I will just, at that point, I'll just write it all. I'll just write it all because it's way faster and more organized to just write it all than it is to use this disjointed semi-GUI workflow, right? Because of all the negatives. So you might be saying, Kevin, I use these style panels all the time. I don't have any problems with them. I don't know what the negatives are. I don't see any negatives. Okay, let's go through the negatives. They have a tremendously high click cost, okay? So, you want to go do something like add attributes, okay? I want to add a data attribute to something. Got to click attributes, got to click the add attributes button, got to click in here, got to type a name, got to tab, got to type this name, got to click again, got to come in here. I'm just doing, here's one, here's another, here's another, here's another. Then I need to style the attributes. How do I style those attributes? How do I create a style based on those attributes. So should I look around in here? No, got to go to CSS. Let's do that here. Okay, we're doing that here. Now we got to click out of there. Now we got to go, oh, clicked on the wrong one. Now I got to go back here. Now I got to, the amount of clicking, when you really, and by the way, the better you get at the interface, the faster you get. Now you could see me, a lot of people criticize me. Kevin, you go too fast. You go way too fast. Kevin, you got to slow down. Kevin, and I would always tell people, I'm like, dude, you put it on 0.5. Put on 0.25. It's a video. You got control over the video speed. Just control the video. I can't work slower. Just, right? Because if I do work slower, if I like really slow it down, then I lose the advanced people. They don't want to watch the video anymore. So just slow the video down. So people always used to tell me, Kevin, you work too fast. So the faster that you get, what you start to realize is, oh my God, the enormous amount of clicking and navigating through these panels is the thing that's slowing me down, right? Is the thing that's slowing me down. And because everything is so all over the place, if you also are really good at CSS, you come very quickly to the conclusion that, oh my God, instead of doing all this clicking, I could just type everything in one place. And it would be a lot less like chaos. It's absolute chaos. All these panels in and out and in and out and up and down and in and out is chaos. The better you get, the more you realize how much it's in your way. And this is one of the things that people tell us in Etch. Like the feedback we consistently get is people are amazed at how much things are just not in your way. Like everything you're trying to do for the most part is right there. Nothing is stopping you. There's no levels. There's no inception. There's no panel behind a panel behind a panel and, oh, got to go back to that panel. Nothing's in your way. It's just, you just work. That's it. It just facilitates work. That's what it does, okay? It's hyper efficient. You realize the tremendously high click cost of these panels. There's a very high mental processing cost. Oh, where was that thing? Oh, I got to find that thing. I got to go in here. Was it in here? Was it here? Was it up? Was it down? Was it in this panel? Was it in that panel? I mean, these things go levels and levels and levels deep. Look at this. I'm in a modal. I'm in another modal inside that modal, and now I'm in a tab inside that modal. I'm in a tab inside a modal inside a modal inside an accordion now. This is a tremendously high cost, okay, of navigating around, of working over and over and over again on every single element, on every single class, on every single everything, panels and modals and tabs and panels. And it actually becomes a nightmare after a while. You're like, if you do this too much, you go to bed, you have actual dreams, like nightmares. You wake up in a cold sweat. You're like, damn, get me out of that. Okay, I don't want to be in that environment. All right. I'm embellishing it a little bit, but I have had at least one cold sweat in my life about these panels, but it's not common. It's not often. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. They scatter styles everywhere, guys. Everywhere. I mean, have you ever, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been like, you get to the end of styling something that's fairly robust and something's wrong. And you're like, oh my God, where's that coming from? And you start the hunt, what I call the little indicator hunt, in this interface, the little yellow dot hunt. Oh, where's the yellow dot? See, it puts a yellow dot next to things you've done. You know, like if I put that, see, it's got, and you're hunting. Oh, what's got a dot? What doesn't have a dot? What? And by the way, if you haven't built the thing, okay, like, so what I do, people often schedule one-on-one sessions with me where I help them debug something and get something working because they've been stuck on it for 3 hours and they're tired of they've posted in 5 different forums. Nobody can help them. So now here I am on a Zoom call with them and we open up bricks and I'm like, let's look at what you've done. And then it literally takes me 75% of the call to go through every one of these panels, looking at all the little yellow dots to see what the hell they've done. Of course, you can go to the front end and inspect it, right? But even that's not always crystal clear of then when you get back into the panel, where the hell was it put? You know, because was it put in custom CSS? Was it put in a styling input? Was it put, like, where was it put? These are very hard questions to answer sometimes. There's a tremendously high debug cost to this, okay? Why? Because the language that we're trying to interact with is all obfuscated. It's all gone. It's not there. You can't see it and interact with it. You're forced into this GUI situation that hides it all from you, right? So that's a downside. If you have to write CSS, right? Because another problem with these styling inputs is they can only do basic to intermediate tasks. They completely fall on their face when you have to do very advanced things. For example, I need to do a grid area layout. How do I tackle that? Layout, I haven't even used this in forever. See, if you don't study, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Why would grid be in layout? Of course it's in content, right? Of course it's under the content tab. Why would the layout controls be in the layout section? My fault. So you go to display, you go to grid, right? Can you do grid areas yet? I don't see them here. I don't think you could do grid areas. So if I have to do grid areas, I now have to abandon this situation and I have to go write custom CSS. And see, now I'm in this panel. Let me go to this panel. Great, okay? Now I'm writing custom CSS. I can do my grid areas on, but now anything else that I do is going to be separate from what I just did here. So now I've got chunks of instructions in custom CSS. I've got chunks of instructions spread out over input panels, and it becomes a big mess, okay? There's a cost to all of that. They're all based on the outdated concept of fixed breakpoints. I'm just gonna, again, I did a whole stream on this. If you weren't there for it, you weren't present that day, I understand. We can't redo the entire thing, but if you think that this workflow right here has any meaningful relevance in 2025 and beyond, I don't know what to tell you. This whole concept right here is completely dead. It's just gone. It's completely irrelevant. In 2025 and beyond, this little, we've got 4 breakpoints. This is absurd. This is era 2, era 3. We might as well be in 2011, okay? Because that's the only era that this is actually relevant for. All these style panels are based on these things. See, when I do something here, right? Grid template columns, what do I even have? Okay, grid 1. I go here and I change it, right? It zeroed it out because I chose a different breakpoint, and now I do a new instruction here. Okay, and now, so not only do you have style instructions spread out over panels and accordions, you've got them spread out over breakpoints, in panels and accordions, inside of breakpoints, okay? And then don't even get me started on now what are we gonna do with hover states and pseudo selectors and pseudo elements and all this other stuff that's could be going on. Absolute chaos. This situation has to go. And I will just clue you in on something. No interface on planet Earth has that I have seen, okay? Correct me if I'm wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong. I have not seen an interface on planet Earth that is designed to work with fluid breakpoints and or container queries. There isn't one that I have ever seen, okay? Doesn't mean it's not possible, but they're not really innovating. I haven't seen it yet. I'm not convinced it would be great because of the way this has to be engineered to change on static selections. I don't know. I mean, there could be a pathway, but nobody's come up with one. But this is another argument that these style panels were designed for an era that no longer exists. This era right here of static breakpoints is gone. This does not exist anymore. This is not a good workflow. It's not an accurate workflow. If you don't know, I'll give you the main argument for accuracy purposes. Responsive accuracy. You have chosen 4 random breakpoint values out of pop quiz. Pop quiz. Let's see how. So if you're going to argue with me, let's see if you can answer the pop quiz correctly. How many calculated breakpoints, based on all the available devices that there are in the world, how many calculated, and remember, there's retina displays, there's this, there's that, there's wide, there's tall, okay. How many calculated breakpoints are there in the world? Just give me a ballpark estimate. Just give me a ballpark. Remember, you've chosen 4 to check. Oh, let me check if my site's responsive. Let me check this one and this one and this. Looking good, looking great, okay? How many? You chose 4. How many? There you go. 2,200 plus. You chose 4 to decide that your site looks great on 2,200 plus, okay? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Not to mention that responsiveness in this day and age is based on the block itself, the thing we're looking at. What needs to happen with this layout right here or this component right here? That's how media queries should be written if you're going to use media queries at all. And in most of those cases, you should be using container queries instead of media queries, which brings me back. There is not a single interface on planet Earth that I've ever seen where these style panels interact properly with container queries. This is a solution for an era that no longer exists. And I'm not done. I talked about they're a dead end when trying to achieve complex scenarios. They hide the language, okay? So we talk about beginners all the time, right? Beginners trying to learn. Kevin, I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to familiarize myself with the language. Okay. Well, there's different parts of learning a language. One would be, do you know the names of the properties? Okay, so CSS properties, and by the way, I've argued that CSS is probably the easiest language to learn because all of the property names are exactly what you would guess they would be, for the most part, okay? So like, for example, I want to add a border. What do I write? Well, why don't you try writing the word border, okay? I want to add padding to this element. What should I write, Kevin? Well, have you tried the word padding, okay? See, a lot of them, they're just very, very literal. Now, yeah, you can have padding block, padding inline, padding this, padding that, okay? There is some learning curve. There is some, but for the most part, it's very literal, okay? It's not crazy. It's not crazy. Now, another thing would be, do you know what available values there are? And that's where you get into, well, you got to know units and you got to know that there are tokens, you know, variables and such. So there's some learning curve there. By the way, the styling panel helps you with none of the value learning. Okay, so a styling panel like this, it's gonna say column gap 30 pixels. In this case, if I was gonna do, can I zoom in on this? If I was gonna do what this suggests I might want to do, this would actually empower me to do the wrong thing. If I wrote 30 pixels here, that would be the wrong thing. It is actually, remember, this is empowering me. It's actually empowering me to do the wrong thing. If you're gonna learn the language, there's no getting around. See, this interface cannot magically communicate to me that I should use a token here, or pixels, or rem, or m, or vw, or vmin, or vmax, or cqi, or cqw, or ch, or any of the other values that are possibly here, much less maybe a min function or a max function or a clamp function, or the interface helps with none of that. The interface, this does not teach you anything. This does not facilitate anything other than me putting in the wrong value. Because of all the available options, 30 pixels is probably the worst one. So the suggested value, it's not even giving me, like, at least take me in the right direction. That's like the wrong direction to go. Just like Elementor. You open up Elementor and what you should be met with is, like, you want a section to be bigger, taller, let's say taller, right? You need to do that with padding. Most of the time, it encourages you to do it with minimum height. The worst way to do it most of the time. So these, oh, Kevin, it's empowering people. No, it's facilitating incorrect work. That's what it's doing, okay? It's not empowering. That's not empowerment. Like, if I make it easier for people to do the wrong thing, I'm not empowering them in any fashion or form. I'm dyslexic. So most people say form or fashion. I say fashion or form. It's just facilitating incorrect things. That's what it's doing, right? But this is the language. Remember, we're trying to learn. Well, how does this help you learn? How does this, okay, question. If you need a column gap, what, you couldn't write the word column dash gap, and then the value is still I still need to know what to put here. It's doing the literal easiest part, okay? And then there's a third part of language that you have to learn, which is syntax. I need to know where the brackets go, where the colons go, where the semicolons go, where the ats go, where the double colons go, where the ampersands go. I got to know the syntax. Well, I tell you right now, interacting with this thing, you can interact with this thing for 100 years straight, and it will never teach you syntax. You will never even experience or look at syntax working with this panel. It will do nothing in the effort of teaching you the language in terms of syntax. Why? Because it hides all the syntax away. Doesn't allow you to ever see the syntax. So how are you going to learn in this tool? How do you learn? How do you learn in a tool that hides the language from you? This idea that, oh, well, it helped me learn. The only thing that it does is it gives you a false sense. This is what people will tell me all the time. Well, Kevin, if it weren't for Elementor, I never would have started this process. I mean, it gave me the confidence to get started on my own, Kevin. Okay. And maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. Maybe it felt cute. It felt easy. It felt nice. It felt simple. And because of that, you did it. You got started. And you were one of the very few people who actually then branched out beyond that. Okay. 90% of the people that did just what you did quit and gave up. 9% that didn't quit or give up stuck with Elementor. They're still using Elementor. They still have no idea what they're doing, as we've seen, okay? And then you're the 1%, congratulations, who was like, I got my start with Elementor, but then I branched out and actually learned my shit, and now I actually know what I'm doing. Okay, well, I will give you the reality. You were gonna be the 1% anyway. And all you needed was a tool to be like, hey, we're gonna use a real tool, and we're gonna teach you how to use it. We're gonna teach you the language. By the way, you're gonna learn this thing in 2 months, okay? Because people dick around with Elementor for 2 years. Doesn't take 2 years to learn how to do this stuff. 2 months in the right tool with the right education, you're gonna be a very confident person. Okay, so most people waste a lot of time, even if it's that, well, Kevin, it got me started. Okay, it also delayed your growth, all right? These are just the realities. These are just the facts. Okay, last downside, and then we're gonna talk about the Mini-GUI, then we're gonna look at how this is gonna evolve, okay? The user has no control over the authored CSS properties. So I'm gonna we're actually gonna see, I don't even know what the output is here, because I haven't looked at this in like over a year probably. Layout, padding, okay? Let's do just 2M. Let's just put that on all sides, okay? I'm gonna save. Let's put a background color so we can, find it easily. We'll put a black on there, okay? Save, and let's go to the front end, all right? We don't need to be in responsive mode. Okay, so this is what was authored right here. Now, you could ask yourself, is that the correct way to author this? No, it's obviously not the correct way for many reasons. The idea that you would write padding top 2M, padding right 2M, padding bottom 2M, padding left 2M is, even a beginner wouldn't do that. Even a beginner would not come up with this as a solution. They would write padding 2M. Okay, like that's just number one. Number two, this is using outdated standard naming syntax. These are not logical properties. These are not the new standard for how to write directional properties. So if you care about, for example, RTL support, you have now broken RTL support. Now, you wouldn't know this unless you know what you're actually doing. But even if you know what you're doing, there is no way for me to make it write logical properties. It's not possible. So by opting into this workflow of, okay, I'm going to use this tool, the conclusion we come to is, hey, if I want to use logical properties, which is the new standard for CSS and has been the standard for a while now, if I want to do that, I have to write my own CSS. I can't even use the styling panels, because if I use the styling panels, it's not going to write logical properties, and there's no way for me to fix that. I have no control over what is being written. So I just can't use them. So then now what I got to keep track of error. Okay, I can't use margin. I can't use padding. I can use this because the output. What am I now like? What am I auditing the entire fucking tool to figure out which panels I can use that are acceptable and which ones I have to write by hand? And what are we doing? What are we doing? Now I understand. If there's no car, you're all like, but I mean, Kev, this is the best we have. Kevin, the horse is all we got, Kevin. There's nothing better. We're not going to go back to walking. Okay, we understand the horse has downsides. Okay, I gotta do. I don't know. I've never taken care of a horse. I gotta do the shoes. It shits all over the place. It eats a lot. There's problems with it, Kevin. But it's the best we have. Okay, well if that's the art, then that's what it is, and that's why we used oxygen. We use styling panels. We use bricks. We use styling panels. Except for if you watch my videos, you started to see towards the end of my bricks tutorials, like the last 6 months to a year, what was I doing? I had completely abandoned the styling panels. I was just writing all CSS. I'm like, I'm done with this shit. I'm done with this nonsense. I'm just writing all my CSS. And so now like 40% of the tool I don't even use, okay? I'm just doing all the work myself. It's writing the HTML. I'll handle the CSS. Okay, we're a good team, whatever. But it was literally because there's just no other option. Somebody's got to recognize, damn, there's a lot of downsides here. Certainly this could be better and make a better solution, okay? So that's what we're attempting to do. Now I'm going to show you the Mini-GUI, okay, as the alternative approach. Again, because there's a lot of trolls, there's a lot of haters, there's a lot of clip artists, you know, there's a lot of memers, there's a lot, you know, you gotta say things multiple times. Things like, we're gonna take a look at a proof of concept. We're gonna take a look at a prototype. We're gonna take a look at a very unpolished, unfinished situation. What we're doing is taking a look at a specific workflow that is an alternative that is currently being engineered in real time, okay? Where not every single thing is figured out. But I am going to give you a bunch of insights into what I'm thinking about in terms of its evolution, okay? And we can even talk about this kind of stuff together. And people that own Etch obviously are always parts of these discussions inside of the community. I also have to make sure that you understand, where is Etch, by the way? Is this around here anywhere? Do I even, oh, I was gonna use the pattern site. Okay, let's use the pattern site. So the other thing to understand is when you are replacing something like style panels, which are extremely complex, it's probably not going to be replaced with a single feature. My plan, the way that I'm envisioning it is mostly replaced by Mini-GUI with the addition of a concept called GUI encode, which we can talk about, with another concept that we innovated, that we brought to the market called recipes. And you use these things in, and of course, autocomplete and you know, a bunch of other stuff, auto var wrapping, auto calc wrapping, yada, yada. Like all these things come together as an orchestra, if you will, to create a very hyper efficient, hyper awesome development experience with none of the downsides of styling panels, but still accomplishing. Do we write less CSS? Yes. Do we enable users who don't know CSS to style things? Yes. Do we work faster? Yes. All the yeses, none of the downsides. Okay. So let's go into Etch. let's go look at, what should I do? Actually, what I was gonna do, I was gonna try to find, okay, let's do this layout right here. Let's build this, okay? Let's build it very slow and talk about stuff as we go, okay? But what we have here is essentially a box. I'm guessing that is content width right there. It's got some padding. It's got a little intro with like a heading and a CTA. And then it's got this, it's not a grid. It's not a grid. You know how I know it's not a grid, right? How do you know it's not a grid? Let's do a pop quiz. How do you know it's not a grid? Let me turn on my pro mouse, okay? How do you know that's not a grid? It's not a 3-column grid. If you thought 3-column grid, that's not a 3-column grid. There's a good way to tell. So we will use CSS columns for this, okay? And we got to build these little review cards. And then maybe if we want to create a component, we can create a component, and we can loop them, we can loop. We can do a lot of things in this video. We don't have to just look at the Mini-GUI, but let's build this as a new pattern for patterns.etchwp.com. Nick says different heights. Yeah. Typically when you are looking at this situation, can I draw this? Those are not grid lines that line up. Now you can use grid area, you can use different grid techniques, spans and starts and all of this to create this effect. But for this kind of situation, you would not likely want to do that. It would be not great, especially because you can't control the amount of content in these cards and you just want them to be very flexible, okay? So this is done with columns, not grid. Okay, so we will attempt to build this as we go. All right, let me go into Etch. What is this called? Sorry, not, we'll see how long the throat lasts today, okay? Testimonial section mic. Okay, let's go to add new layout. Let's go testimonial section mic. All right, and then I'm just gonna categorize this real quick. So this is gonna be in terms of testimonials. And we're gonna do, did that add it? Yeah, good. Okay, down here, this is gonna be a pattern, okay? It's not gonna be a component. It's not gonna be a template. It's gonna be a pattern. Let's go ahead and save draft and let's go edit in Etch. Okay, we're in Etch. We're in Etch. There we are. I'm gonna add a section. We're gonna have essentially just one inner, right? We'll say testimonial, testimonial section mic, okay? We've got an inner. What other little HTML elements do we need? Let's go back here. Good. This tab situation. Did I pin this? Okay, it's pinned. Good. Okay, so I'm seeing a row here. So this is like, I need a block and a block. Inside my container, inside, okay, we don't need bricks anymore. Let's get rid of this. Unpin and get rid of. Okay. We need 2 blocks inside of here. So I'm gonna go flex div, flex div. So this is going to be the intro. This is going to be the, let's say card list, okay? And then we need a card inside of there. So let's add a card. All right, testimonial card. Let's go look at the structure of our card. All right. We're gonna need a header. We're gonna need a body. Those are gonna be 2 things that we definitely need. So testimonial card, these are not gonna be, well, you know what? Yeah, we're just gonna do a component, okay? I don't think we have a testimonial card yet. So I'm just gonna build one. All right, testimonial card alpha. Testimonial card alpha. All right, we know we need the header. Okay, we know we need the body. And then inside the body, we're probably just gonna put some text. We'll say that this is the quote, okay? Inside of our header, what I'm gonna put is, remember, and this is just following my workflow of you do structure first and then styling. Mini-GUI is for styling. So we're not even there yet. We don't even need a Mini-GUI yet because we're just doing structure. And the builder itself handles all of the structure, writes the HTML for you, does all that good stuff. Then we'll get to the styling portion. But you need all your elements in there. You gotta put some selectors on things. Then you get to your styling portion, okay? So we're gonna have a image that's in a figure tag. So let's do that first. So we're gonna have our header. So this is gonna be our figure. And I'm just gonna call this the headshot wrapper, right? And then we'll put a image in here. And actually, I do like the word avatar better because it's shorter. So I'm gonna say avatar wrapper, and I'm gonna say avatar. But this avatar wrapper is not a div, it's actually a figure, okay? Notice, again, there's no panels that you have to go to like, oh, where do I change the HTML tag? No, it's just, you just do it, right? You can do it there, you can do it here, you can do it a lot of places. Okay, so I have a figure and I have an avatar. Now outside of that figure, now I like the figure, that creates a nice little containment context, okay? I'm going to need a icon. I'm gonna need, maybe I'm gonna say like we need a wrapper for the name and the title, okay? We'll call it the info wrapper, and then we have a name and a title, and then we're gonna need a logo, okay? So in our header, we're gonna do another flex div. This will be the info wrapper. We'll put 2 text elements in there. We'll have our name and we'll have our title. We'll say person's title, person's name. Person name, and I won't do plural. Person name, person title. That sounds very clear. You know, if somebody comes after me, they're gonna know exactly what the hell is going on here. Just the word name by itself, it's a little vague. Title by itself, little vague. Title, you're talking about a heading, you're talking about there, what are we talking about, you know? Person name, person title, give a little bit of specificity, that can help, okay? All right, so we've got our info wrapper, and then we're going to add our, and I'll give you a little shortcut here. Okay, if you select the header itself, obviously you can add things inside of it. If you have something else selected, like this info wrapper, you wanna add something next to it, like the SVG, for example, I can hold Command and click the SVG, it will add it as a sibling. So it could add it as a child if I just click, but if I hold Command and click, it'll add it as a sibling. We're just doing a little bit of etch instruction as we go here, okay? We'll call this the logo. Okay, so we've got a way to put in a logo here. So now I'm just gonna look and I'm gonna ask myself, you know, do we have all of the things that we want in this testimonial card, okay? May not be perfect, that's okay, because it's gonna be a component, which means I can actually deploy 1 million of them and then fix anything that's wrong because I have control over all of them. So, okay, so what we're gonna do is we are going to say, yes, testimonial card alpha, pretty much good to go. I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna create BEM classes, and now they all have selectors. And now you're starting to see the Mini-GUI start to just pop up. Now you opt into the Mini-GUI right here. It's called CSS Quick Actions, okay? So you can turn it on or off if you want to. We're gonna obviously have it on because that's the topic of today's discussion. Now, if you want it off and you wanna write all your CSS, hey, I mean, have at it. But if you want the help of the Mini-GUI, then you would want to turn that on. Now let's go through and let's just see that everything is going to have a selector, and I can put the styles on every selector, on every element. It lives with that element. It only loads when that element exists on the page. It's all the good stuff. If I ship this component to somebody else, all the CSS comes with it. It's infinitely shareable. All the component functionality goes with it as well. If there's loops involved, the loop information even goes with it. It's just fantastic. Everything is compartmentalized, okay? Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to style it. I'm just going to get it working. And this is where we start to see, by the way, here, okay? If I want to, let's turn it into a component. Let's create our component here, okay? I'm just gonna save. I'm gonna exit as soon as this is done. And dude, the back of my throat. It's not feeling great. Okay, because this is a closed component, I can actually auto BEM the rest of this now, or should be able to. So I'm gonna right click, create BEM classes, and now I have selectors on all this stuff. I didn't put a heading in yet, but you know, that's a small detail. Okay, and my component now is not affected by the auto BEM that I did up here. That's because it's a closed system, it's out of the way. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look at how I might want to style the inner. Let's put a heading in here and a button. I'm gonna go ahead and put button primary on here so that it's styled like a button. I'm gonna say this is the heading for our section. Fantastic. And now we have this thing called inner. Now, how do I want to style this? Well, I could do a flex row layout. I could do a grid layout, like a 2-column grid layout. There's a bunch of different options. But let's say I want the Mini-GUI to actually write this for me. Now here's where you are going to start to use your imagination a little bit as we walk through this, okay? But I want to show you important things about the Mini-GUI. Let's say I wanted to go with a flex row approach, okay? So there's this icon right here that looks like a row icon, like an inline icon. Hey, put these things in line, right? Just like you would see in pretty much every interface. So I'm gonna click on that, and it's going to create a flex row, and it's doing that on the inner. Now, I didn't want that on the inner. I wanted that on the intro. I put it in the wrong place. Now, you might think because it wrote some CSS here that what I would need to do is select all of that and like delete it because I don't want it there. I put it in the wrong place. But actually the Mini-GUI is smart enough to know what it inserted. And you can see here, can I zoom in? That the icon is actually highlighted. And it's highlighted because I used that one. That's the one I chose, right? Now, what if I wanted column? Let's just look at a couple little interaction pieces here. What if I wanted column instead of row? If I just click column, what's it gonna add column also? Like what's gonna happen here? No, it's gonna replace row with column. It's smart enough to know that's a conflicting style. Like what if I wanted grid instead? Well, it just changes to display grid. It doesn't just keep adding useless conflicting properties. It knows which ones conflict, and it takes the confliction away and it adds the one that you actually just re-asked for. What if I want to go back to row, but I decide I don't want row at all? Remember I made a mistake in the beginning. I don't want row there. Well, I just click it again and it removes because it knows what it added. Okay, so it's aware of what it has done to the code, right? And you get the benefit too, one, of previewing. Oh, look what that's gonna write, right? When I hover over it, I see, oh, that's what it's gonna write. Look at that. When I add it, I see it get added. Now, remember we talked earlier about learning. What are the steps of learning? I need to know what the property names are. I need to know what the value names are. I also need to see the syntax as much as possible. This is literally the best way to learn because you're watching it get written. It's not hidden away. It's not obfuscated, okay? You see it getting written, but you have this, it's the same speed. Actually, it's faster because there's no inception-y accordion panels, modals. I'm in a tab and a modal and a panel and an accordion. Look at me go. No, Sam, okay? That's not what we're doing anymore. Everything's right here at your fingertips. Now, these panels are also contextually aware of what you have chosen, okay? So for example, I'm just gonna throw in, actually, let's go into card alpha. Let's edit this real quick. Let me go to the avatar, okay? Look here. Well, by golly gee, those seem to be different options, don't they? Because the Mini-GUI is aware of what you selected. And it knows that when you select an image, you probably aren't super interested in display grid or display flex or box level things. You're probably mostly interested in things like the width or the height or the object fit or the border radius or maybe the filter or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Understand? So the Mini-GUI knows what you've clicked on, and it's going to offer you things that are more likely to be relevant to that thing versus, oh, here's all the same panels again. Good luck, you know? Once again, it's a lot easier, it's a lot faster, it's a lot less click heavy to figure out what's going on. Now, what is one of the downsides of what you're looking at so far? Let's get out of the components, go back to the intro for a second, okay? So I have padding, I have margin, I have grid, as we just saw. What if I did I don't want to add some padding here, but what if I did want to add some padding, okay? Well, right now it adds padding 1 rem. And what I would do is I would just change it to the value that I want. Now you're probably like, Kevin, I don't know what value, that's the point, Kevin. I don't know the value. Well, guess what? The CSS styling panels, as we've already shown, they don't help you with the value either. So there is no getting around knowing the value except you can't do it right now, but in the very near future, you are going to be able to customize the value that is output. Now, let's say you wanted this, okay? Can't type today. Let's say you wanted space M to be your general default for padding. You'd be able to set that. You be able to say, I want space. What if you wanted space M with a fallback of 1M to be your padding? You could set that as your default. And so you tell the Mini-GUI, hey, when I click padding, this is what I want you to add. Now, you're thinking, Kevin, what about padding left, padding right, padding block start, padding inline start, padding block, padding inline? Okay. When you click this or hover it or whatever, okay, these things are still being engineered. You're going to get the options for each side if you want them or need them. And there's a second layer to Mini-GUI, okay? And a great option would be, let's see, what would a good case scenario be? Okay, width. Let me click on width. So if I left click, single left click, bang, I would get whatever default value I want. And maybe that default value I've programmed to be, content width or something, right? Or width 60 or something like that, right? That's what I want the value to be. But I want choices, don't I? So these are gonna have context menus that go with them. So if I right click, sorry, I zoomed out. If I right click one of these, like width or height, what I would get is my list of options. The list of options we give you? No, the list of options you want. The list of options you asked for. The list of options according to your framework or your way of working, right? So you would right click, choose width 30, width 70, width whatever. If you did color, for example, right click, you get all the palette, boom, just like you're used to in maybe automatic CSS, if you're familiar with that, where it's like, oh, there's all my swatches. Oh my God, with live preview. Oh, boom, I'll take that one, thank you, right? So it's not just click a button and it writes a thing and a value and then you change the value. You think about right click context menu interactivity on these buttons, and now you have a whole world of available options that you're not having to write. Right now, if you want to add a media query or a container query, by the way, I should show you this if you're not aware, okay? We have an infinite canvas. Remember we talked about static, fixed, cute little breakpoints no longer being a relevant workflow? That's because we engineered the concept of an infinite canvas. And whenever you want a media query, you just ask for one and it measures the canvas for you and it inserts the media query with the current canvas measurement. Isn't that what a tool is supposed to do to help you? Right? And not only does it insert it with the measurement, it inserts it in a function that converts the pixel value that you can see and make sense of in your mind to a rim function on the front end, because that's really what you need, right? Isn't that how an interface is supposed to help you? What if you want a container query? I'll take a container query right here. Okay, there's your container query, right? Inserting, by the way, at the measured, not the measurement of the device, because that's not relevant to container queries, the measurement of the element that I selected. 691 is the width of this element. I asked for a container query. I got 691 in my container query. Isn't this how an interface is supposed to help you? Now imagine that I'm quickly whipping up. I'd like a column, right? Oh, look at that. What happened when I click column? I just got new options. Hey, you did flex column. You might want these alignment things as well. Now that you've done that, you might want these next. So I can do justify content center and maybe align items to the center. And look, it's writing the CSS and I can see it. I can see what's happening, okay? If I don't want that one, it goes away. If I don't want that one, it goes away, okay? I come over here, I set a little padding, I set a little margin. Remember, it might be just giving me the default values. You know, we had a discussion about, hey, it should put the cursor right here so they can quickly change the value if they want to. And I said, why should they need to change the value? We need to engineer it so that it just gives them the value they need and they never have to write anything, except in very complex scenarios, right? If I don't want whatever let's say that this was my default, space M, okay? What if I wanted it to be space L in this case? Then I should right click it and choose L instead of M. And I still don't have to write anything. If I don't have to write, isn't that what we were trying to accomplish? So let's accomplish that. Let's do that, okay? So imagine that we're going this fast and now you're looking at this, by the way, okay, what are the downsides of, look, I'm previewing this, writing this. I mean, in any other environment, this would only apply to this breakpoint. But Etch doesn't work that way. Etch says we can write these things anywhere, right? So if I want to preview and be like, that needs to stack here, I'm going to go right click, add a media query, drop that in, and then I'm going to start clicking buttons again. Now, again, that's a second layer that we're currently engineering to where now we can write it inside of here. And the interactivity resets from what we did up here. Okay, that's actually being worked on this week right now. But I'm gonna be able to now put these things in this media query. And then I'm gonna come down here and be like, I want one there. Okay, right click, add another media query, bang. All right, let's go back, interact, boom, boom, boom. Let it write the CSS for us inside this media query. And now we get the benefit of, by the way, I can go out here and still see what's happening. Somebody can you imagine, I'm just gonna give you insider information right now. Can you imagine that somebody just thumbed down at that moment where I was just demonstrating? Can you imagine what kind of person, what level of hater do you have to be? What level of abject loser do you have to be to hit thumb down at that moment, right? When we're seeing this is how work should be done, and somebody's like, no. It's wild. Dude, you can't, there are some people on the internet, they are so stuck to the bottom of the dumpster. There is no scraping them off. There is just no scraping them off. It's not possible, okay? Okay, just wanted to give you a little insider tip. Just saw that come through, little insider tip. All right, so we're not writing CSS, it's being written for us. It's giving us the values that we want by default and that we ask for if we don't want the default. It's doing all the media queries and container queries that we could possibly want. It's putting everything in the same exact place. So all of your styles live in one spot. What have we not accomplished? What have we not accomplished? It's visual. I mean, these icons are pretty cute. Okay, they aren't even done yet. Cuteness level is very high. All right, so if that's what you're into, what have we not accomplished, right? Not to mention, you need complex shit. Remember what I said? Hey, it can't do complex stuff. What if I need a content grid on this entire section so that I can take this inner that we haven't even, finished doing yet because we're just messing around. But what if I need content grid on this section right here? Why don't I just, there it is. Oh my God, there it is. Do you want to write all that? Do you know how to write all that? Do you know any of it? Well, you don't need to. You don't need to. It will just do it for you. Know what you need, content grid. Now I can come out here with the inner. I can do grid column. I can do full. Now this is full width. I can do feature max. It'll get wider than content width up to this, whatever I set as the feature max width. I got whatever I want to do. That's the recipes functionality, right? What did I say earlier? You combine the Mini-GUI with recipes with var autocomplete, like or this. What if I wanted a color mix function? There's a color mix recipe. There's a color mix function right there, okay? By the way, you choose the defaults, right? I want a transparency. So now I have black at 50%. I can go 30, 20, 20, whatever I want to do here, okay? Right? Do 12, 12.5, whatever I want to dial in. I could, by the way, change this to primary, right? I'm doing a mainly tokenized workflow. I think primary on this is not even a color. It's all black and white website, but you get the point, okay? So I'm combining recipes with Mini-GUI, with AutoVar, with AutoCalc, with autocomplete, with on and on and on, and no panels. I just work right here and right here and right here, right here if I need it. I don't even need JavaScript right now. We don't even need to look at that. We don't even need the JavaScript right here, okay? What is it not doing? The answer is nothing. There's nothing missing, okay? It gives you all the benefits. It gives you none of the downsides. It's insanely efficient. It's insanely fast. And it's insanely intelligent. Okay. Let me just go through the chat real quick. Let's see. I will always elevate these comments just to remind people, you know. Remember, none of this was going to exist. This was not. It wasn't even going to. And if it did manage to make its way into existence, it was going to be terrible, and it was going to take 5 years. Remember that was the whole. Remember all those Nostra dumbasses. Remember all the Nostra dumbasses running around. Oh, it's going to be this. It's going to be that. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna. If you want me to keep actually building this, I will. I just wanted to kind of go through what we're thinking about here. Oh, let's talk about GUI in code for just a second, okay? So if I did a background image, for example, it's gonna put a background image in, and obviously, if I don't have the URL, that's a problem. Now, on the actual image, like if you add a physical image, let me add a physical image in here just so you can see. If I click the physical image, I would get this kind of situation where I have a thumbnail and I click on the thumbnail and now I'm in the media library and now I can choose an image and I can use this media and I don't have to care about the URL or any of that. How would that be handled with CSS background image? Because CSS background image is not a real image. Where did I put that? Right here. Okay. This is not a selectable element. This is a box that I'm applying a background image to. There's nothing to select. How would I get to the media library from here? And this is one example of GUI in code. And if you want a working example of GUI in code, you can actually go, because this is another layer. Okay, this is separate from the Mini-GUI. This is called GUI in code. Let's go to the front end as an example. Let me inspect this. Let me go to, does anything have anything that would show right here? I can't zoom in. You see this little box? That is a swatch. That is a UI. They have taken, this is code. You're looking at code, but they've taken a little piece of a UI called a swatch and they've embedded it in the code. And you can interact with that swatch. And when you click that swatch, suddenly you get more of a UI. The UI comes to life. It gets more robust and you can do wild things like select new colors without writing code, do transparencies, change the entire hue, even choose maybe the OKLCH color space to do this work in, okay? There's no limit to the complexity of the UI here, but you never need to see it if you didn't ask to interact with it. And so if you imagine that something like that, anytime I say background color, it's not just gonna say white, it's gonna have a little swatch. I click the swatch and suddenly I have more UI available to me in the code. That's GUI in code. With this photo, this URL, what about a little thumbnail right there in the code? I click the thumbnail, now I'm in the media library. Right from the code, I'm in the media library. I select, boom, 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 bang, done. No writing, don't have to worry about copying the URL, don't care. GUI in the code. So you take the Mini-GUI that floats above the code, you have pieces of GUI in the code, you have recipes, you have autocomplete, auto-var, auto-calc, auto whatever. This is a modern workflow. You have an infinite canvas. You have dynamic media queries. You have dynamic container queries. You don't have fixed breakpoints. You don't have inception level interfaces. You don't have chaos, the chaos of it all. That's why when people work in Etch, they're like, I rarely ever have to go anywhere. I just get to work. Everything's out of my way. I just get to work. That's all I get. That's amazing, right? That was one of the main things that you have to solve the tremendous click cost of these outdated interfaces and all the downsides that come with how they were architected. And that's why people told me, remember all the other Nostra dumbass predictions were, well, I mean, Bricks is just going to be inspired by these things and just bing, bam, boom. It's going to look like, it's going to do Etch things. No. These things have to be architected way long ago, like way before all the technical debt shows up and is there and is in your way. Way before all the potential breakages of people's things. You can't just whip this stuff up, okay? You can't just cut out massive parts of a UI and add massive new parts in, and it can't just, this is just, these, I just don't think, some people just don't understand software. Okay. Let's see. Here we go. I like this comment from Nick. I've used the inspect tool swatch so many times. Yeah, it's very, very, very helpful. All right, I'm gonna go to questions because I honestly don't know how long my voice is going to hold up. It's already starting to get a little sketchy. The yelling and ranting probably does not help, but you know, there's no preventing that. Any plans for a video element component like Bricks video element, or thoughts on an alternative solution? We already have one. It is an iframe. So you go to iframe right here. You can put in a YouTube URL. You can put in a video source. It will render just like any other video you've seen. So that's the pathway for doing that right now. Hey, Kevin, what's the purpose of the Etch logo in the HTML editor? So what he's referring to is this right here. Let me get off the components so you can see more stuff. So every line is going to have, this is kind of like a GUI in code kind of thing. So what this does is it's a little top secret, but I'll clue you in, right? First of all, like after a couple weeks of using Etch, you don't even see it anymore. Your brain gets like blind to it. You don't need to know it's there. You don't ever have to interact with it. But what it does is it stores metadata for this particular element. One aspect of the metadata, for example, is the structure panel label. Another part of the metadata is I believe like the selectors. I'm not 1,000% sure every line item of metadata that's in there. But what it does is it allows for seamless like copy paste functionality. It allows for the structure panel to know what's going on with the canvas at all times. And so like, for example, because you can copy and paste HTML, okay, keep in mind that a lot of interfaces don't allow you to author HTML, so you don't ever see anything like this. But if I let's say I had a problem with my HTML and I've already labeled it, everything's labeled the way I want, nice and organized, okay, but I got a problem and maybe I want AI, I want to go to AI, I want to go to Claude and I want to be like, hey, something's wrong with this. What's wrong with it? Can you fix it? And it spits back the fix, right? Well, if you've copied and pasted into Claude from here, all that metadata is inside of that paste. And Claude will actually ignore the metadata and it will spit the solution back out with the metadata intact. So when you take all that code and paste it back in, all this organization you've done, anything else related to that metadata will be preserved. So you can actually take things out of Etch or from one Etch installation to another without certain aspects of this stuff ever breaking. All that data is contained inside that cute little avatar. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Duplicate CSS is usually due to user error. What features does Etch have to automatically avoid redundant style sheets? Are there component scopes or merging? Well, because you're doing CSS at the element level, not only is it all compartmentalized, so it lives with the thing, which makes it portable, Okay, that's something that, like, for example, Gutenberg has a pattern library. I have said from day one, like, and nobody else seems to realize this. If you need custom CSS for anything, which is a lot of things in Gutenberg, you either need custom blocks, okay, which we're out of the kind of pattern library concept, I think, at that point. But you kill the portability because there's no element level CSS in the block editor. So that whole pattern library is literally has to be ID styling and has to be done with whatever controls they offer you and nothing extra. If you need anything extra, that pattern is dead in the water for sharing. You cannot share it because the CSS can't go with it. There's no pathway for that CSS living with that pattern when you share it. We have element level CSS, element level JavaScript. We're gonna have element level PHP. Everything that belongs to a pattern or element or block or component or whatever it happens to be ships with that thing. And then of course, Etch will tree shake as well, because what Etch does is it scans the page and it says, what elements are here? Let me have their CSS, and it loads their CSS. There's no global style sheet of styles where everything you've built loads on every page. Every page loads only what you've asked it to load. So it already works like that. There's no duplication in that aspect. If there was anything beyond that that you wanted to know, then I can expand on that. If you do write global CSS, let me go to the style manager, style sheets, because you can write global CSS. You can create as many style sheets as you would like, and you will be able to export specific style sheets. So let's say you have a cards library. Oh my God. And these are just the most gorgeous cards you've ever seen. And they rely on something that can't be done at the element level. Like, you are so deep into CSS, you are already doing container style queries. And some of that, or you've done crazy animations, because keyframes can't be nested at the selector level, right? Keyframes have to be declared globally. So you've done all the, like, you've got the fanciest fucking cards that anybody's ever seen, and you need to be able to share these things. Well, 95% of what you shared is gonna go with the card when you share it, but any global CSS can live in a cards style sheet. You could call it, you could literally say, add style sheet, fancy ass cards, okay? And we now have a fancy ass card style sheet. You can put all those keyframes in here, all that animation stuff in here, and then only export that style sheet and give that to people when you share the cards with them. Say, hey, you're gonna need this also, right? So you don't have to like go, oh, where in my global style sheet are all these, okay, let me copy those out and go paste them something. No. Just create a style sheet for it, keep everything nice and organized, and then export what you need, share what you need, live your life, okay? So you still have shareability in that regard, even with global CSS. Let's see. How much money did you burn when implementing the styling panel? That's a good point, actually. That's a good point. You know, because people are probably like, I mean, Kevin probably just couldn't build a styling panel or something. You know, again, the Noster dumbasses are, they're so plentiful. And they never know what they're talking about. They never know what they're talking about because we have them. We actually built them better than anybody else has ever built them. Even in like the proof of concept phase, they were faster and did cooler stuff. And they bidirectionally synced with the CSS box. We were already solving problems and still came to the conclusion. I even fought with half the team about this. Half the team didn't believe me, okay? Right, so I'm out here going, yeah, we have solved, this is real creative. We saw some really cool stuff here. I don't even remember, I think it was just command click, shift click. Yeah, there you go, where you can get to all the sides, right? I never used them because I got to the point where I was like, okay, we're not covering all the bases. And we should be able to cover all these bases. And this is not gonna get it done. And then I just came to the realization, I'm like, why are we mimicking a solution that's literally been around since 2007 in a long gone era? That's when this concept of style panels was introduced. We engineered this. I spent tens of thousands of dollars on this probably. And then I was like, it's not going to get us where we want to go. It's not going to be the best experience. It's not going to overcome all of the downsides. It's not going to get the job done. It's got to go. We got to figure out a different way. We got to come at this from a different angle. We got to start asking new questions, okay? So we had one. We built one. We engineered one. We started solving some of the problems. And I was like, it's still not good enough. It's still not fast enough. It's just still the downside. There's too many still there. Okay, so good question, because it was not a small amount of money. It's not a small amount of money. Let's see. Which, again, more than anybody, I'm the one writing the checks. Am I not supposed to be the one that's like, oh, we've already invested the money. We got to do this. We're going to go convince people that style panels are actually really, these are just better ones. And that's just going to be the narrative. And remember, I'm supposed to be the, Kevin only cares about money. Kevin only cares about No, like I'm literally fighting with people, my own customers half the time, going, I promise you, that's not the direction you want us to go. I promise you, that's not the direction you want us to go. And they're arguing, but Kevin, I love my styling. Don't take away my styling panels, right? What? If all the things that people say about me are true, I should be the one going, yeah, you're right. We should just tell everybody style panels are the most amazing thing. We already invested $20,000 in them. Why don't we keep going? Why don't we just, that's our narrative, just tell people. We know it's not true, but let's just tell them that the styling panels is the best way to go for sure. Because we already went halfway down that path. That would be so easy, wouldn't it? And we could be out of beta. We could say we're done. No. That's because it's not right. It's not correct. That's why you can't do it. That's why you can't do it. Okay. Same thing, by the way, with this. Had a few non-believers. Kevin, the idea that we would take away the cute little breakpoint icon. Kevin, they've all got breakpoint icons, Kevin. Every interface has the breakpoint icon, right? Hey, okay, I get it. They all do. They've all had it since 2009, but last time I checked, this is not 2009, right? And I think we just need to ask some new questions. And we can't be afraid to ask these new questions. Let's see. There's more questions, but I'm just checking chat real quick. I'd say we're at about 40% voice left. Nick does have some fancy ass cards. If there's going to be somebody that shares some fancy ass cards and is going to need what I just demonstrated, it's going to be Nick. It's going to be Nick. Okay. All right. Chat's looking good. Everybody's on the same page. Let's get back to questions. And I will check. I don't think anybody reminded me unless I missed it, but you got to remind me to check demos too. How do you decide when to include a header, body, or footer in something you're creating, like a card? Well, there's a difference between what I did here, which is just calling it such things. So let me edit the component, and you see header in the right here, and you see body right here. But these are just divs. You know, I didn't literally come in and go header and body, which is valid. You could do that. You could do that. And you guys know I talk about semantic HTML all the time. I talk about accessibility all the time. I haven't run into anybody who's made really solid arguments for why that level of semanticness is really valuable. So I haven't worried about it all that much. You know, when I'm in the mode of like, let's cross every T, let's dot every I, you might see me do that. But for the most part, I'm like, okay, what's the payoff again here? What are we doing? And you know, I've asked some people, I've asked some semantic HTML experts. I've read the docs. I've asked some accessibility people. There's not a ton, you know? So when I'm doing a tutorial, it's like, man, are we going to slow this thing down? Are we going to make this thing even more complex, even harder to learn, even more intimidating for people? Or are we just going to make those divs? And I kind of came to let's just make those divs. Like, I don't think everything should be a div. I think we should have lists. Those are like, okay, here's a perfect example is a list. So if I go, I said card list, but it's not a list. I should make it a UL. I should wrap it in a div. I should right click and convert to auto-generate list items, because I already made it a list, so there's no convert to list, but I auto-generated the list items, which means we have a UL, LI structure, then my card is inside of that. And my card, if I was editing the component, should be an article technically, okay? So I save, so I have an article and an LI and a UL. I'm gonna duplicate this. Is there a benefit to having this in a list format? Yes. There's an objective accessibility benefit that people with screen readers are going to be told, you are encountering a list of items. It has 7 items in it. Here's item number 1. Okay, it helps navigate, right? So, but you asked that about a header and a body and a card. Nobody's really given me, maybe there is a really good reason, but nobody's given me one yet. So until they do, I'm just gonna be like, I think those can be divs. Pretty sure those can be divs. Can we also get contextual suggestions? We're at 30% voice now. Rapidly declining. Can we also get contextual suggestions in the editor after you've clicked a mini GUI thing similar to cursor experience? We haven't even talked about this. So remember, I said it's an orchestra of features that seamlessly work together. You use them when you need them in whatever capacity you need them in. They never get in the way. They're just always sitting there. They're just chilling. That's like really what the interface should be. Things are just chilling till you need them, right? So there's going to be AI in Etch. There's going to be an AI agent that can do large scope things. Hey, make me loops, make me custom post types, make me custom fields, make me a hero section according to this spec right here. You're going to have rules. Hey, I want you to always use automatic CSS. I want you to always use semantic HTML. I want you to always use BEM. Okay, blah 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 blah. It's all going to be there. But then what I would also like is I would like a Copilot feature. So now, if I am loving the mini GUI and I'm bang bang bang, I'm clicking, I'm just rapid fire through this thing. That's cool. That's cool. But what if I'm a writer? What if I'm a typer? Because you can still type. What if I'm a typer? So I start doing things like wit, and it's starting to recognize, I think you're making a card, aren't you? I think you're making a card. You do this a lot, don't you? And it just auto suggests the next 4 rows of things. And I hit tab and boom, it just appears like cursor, right? Like Copilot. That's going to be yet another part of it, an aspect of it. Something that says, hey, I see what you're doing. Let me help you. Okay. And then you opt in for, yeah, I'd like that help, or no, I don't want that help. So yet another layer. Okay. We have a lot of things at our fingertips these days. And it just all has to be married together in a way that's, wow, that's really efficient. That's really nice. It's really light feeling. It's not inception-y. It's not heavy. It's not in the way. It's not like, right? That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. Yeah, so a great GUI in code would be the ability to access relevant variables and swap them out by clicking them. For sure. I could see, for example, okay, let me do this. What if that turned into almost like a badge, like a selectable object, where I could right-click it or double-click it or whatever I needed to do to it. And if I right-clicked it, it gives me, it sees, oh, these are width variables. Let me offer the other options for width variables here. Or if it's a color, ooh, I see it's a color. Let me offer swatches for them to choose a different color, right? That is another example. It's another layer of GUI in code. Fantastic. Absolutely thought of, part of the plans, okay? Is the Mini-GUI shipping when the final release launches? The Mini-GUI is already shipped. It's literally, if you're an Etch user, you could use it right now. You could go do all these things. It has all the limitations of just being a proof of concept. And another release is gonna happen this week, and it's gonna get a little bit better. And another release is gonna happen next week, and it's gonna get a little bit better. And this is just the Etch process. We do a release every single week, sometimes 2 or 3 releases a week, depending on what we're working on or doing. We release things as they become available. Because it gets us feedback faster. We figure out what breaks faster. We get to see what people think faster, right? And then we can iterate. We can iterate in real time, essentially, right? Where you have these other, and you know, I hate to knock other tools, but like, I'm not gonna name names, but like, I'm in groups. I still lurk in groups, you know, and I'm in this one group. I'm in this one group. I swear, 7 out of 10 posts, these people are begging, where are the updates? Where are the communication? It's been 7 months. Why are you still begging this team that doesn't give a single fuck about you? Why are you begging them for updates? Why are you? Dude, there's tools where the people talk to you every single day. There's tools where you can get help at any time. There's tools where releases come week after week after week after week. There's tools that are actually innovating. You don't have to beg. Did you know that? You don't have to put up with being treated like that. Do you know that? There are tools where you could just, man, why don't I go with the tool that's in it? Why am I sitting here begging this company that clearly doesn't care about their product anymore, right? It's like, man, I don't know. And these are the people, by the way, who I said, hey, you don't want any part of this. I see where it's going. You don't want any part of this. Okay? You should probably go over here. Here they are, 2 years later, begging, where are the updates? Where are the updates? Why are you acting like that? What are you doing with your life? Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't compute. I'm not gonna name any names. I mean, you could probably guess. Oh shoot, am I gone? My camera overheat? Dude, that's not even a thing. Hold on. Okay. The battery's not even hot, so I don't know what happened. Let's see. Coming back. Well, guys, I don't know. That's actually, dude, maybe the camera just gave up on itself. The battery's a little warm. It's a little warm. Okay. Well, you don't have to see me at this point. Without camera, not the same. Well, I mean, I get it. It's nice to look at, but, there you go. I like to see empowered people, you know? Hold on, we'll let it cool off just a second. Okay. Let me go back. Let me make sure there's no demos. Is there? Ooh, demos. Patterns, library, site architecture, how it was built. Okay. Yes, I will do that so we actually have something to look at while our camera does its thing. All right, I was actually building this on the pattern site. We'll let that be. Let's go out here. Okay, well, I could show you, oh, by the way, let's look at how block authoring is turning out. Here's feature section Frankfurt, which I just built and published last night. Okay, so this is a nice little feature section here. Got a lot of stuff going on, you know. How does it fare in Gutenberg would be the question. Well, we open it up, and there it is in Gutenberg. Looks exactly the same. Of course, the content width of Gutenberg is different. Doesn't have quite, there we go. Now it looks exactly the same. Look what we also did, you know? Gutenberg puts in the title of the thing right in the middle of your design. Like, why? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing? I'm trying to see what I built. Why are you doing that? Well, especially when the title's right there. You know, like I could see the title right here. Okay, and if I need to edit the title, I can click over here and I can rename the title over here. I don't need a 78 pixel title in my design that doesn't even apply to what I built. Like, it's craziness. Crazy Gutenberg stuff, man. So we hit it. We were like, let's just get rid of that. So now you literally get the thing you built. Like, that's the page. And in Gutenberg, it's, where did it go? I got to go back. I can't go. Why did it act like it opened a new tab? There it is. Okay. And there it is. If I close that, it's going to be the proper width. There, like, you can't even tell it's Gutenberg half the time anymore, right? Doesn't look like something you could normally build in Gutenberg, but it is. Feature section Frankfurt right there. It's got everything in it. Section intro. Look how the Gutenberg team. I mean, look how awesome they are. Just a crack team. Did you guys notice this? The arrows, they just keep getting smaller and out of alignment the deeper you nest. It's a good little feature. Yeah, so block authoring is going fantastic. One-to-one block authoring. Okay, so I have this CPT. WordPress is fantastic. Did I mention, why is this called layouts? I hate this name. I hate this name. I wanted to call it patterns because it is patterns.etchwp.com. It really felt like, to be in alignment, this should be called patterns right here. And I tried to call it patterns. Didn't work. And I was like, what's going on with that? Why can't I want to call it patterns? Why can't I call it patterns? Well, I think, based on what I guessed, I didn't check for sure, but I think patterns is a reserved post type name in WordPress. You can't use it. Can't use it. Well, I was like, all right, what else do I call? I don't know, layouts, I don't know. So that's why it's called layouts. If you're wondering, that's why it's called layouts. But I created this custom post type called layouts, and I created a field group called layouts, and that has a JSON text area, and it has an input called iframe height. And so what I do is I create a pattern and I measure the height of the pattern and I put the height. So if we go to let's go to feature section Frankfurt. I said, I want the iframe height to be 800. And so it dynamically injects in Etch, because Etch is a highly capable development environment. Let's go into templates and let's go to, we have single layouts. We have the layouts archive. Let's go to, I'll go through all these one by one. It would probably be helpful, right? So we have a component called a pattern card, okay? And if I open this up, it is using the object prop. So it's passing an external loop data into the component. So the component can be used in multiple different loops without any issues. But it passes all of the data into here. And if we look, here's the iframe wrapper. And we can see here the source of the iframe is the relative permalink to the pattern itself. We get the title is the title, so on and so forth. So yeah, there's a bunch of dynamic data in here. Let's go in here. So you have a variable called iframe height, and we pass in the iframe height probably here as an inline style from the ACF field. And we can just slap PX right onto the end of the dynamic, that 800 that I put in. So I put in 800 and the CSS right here just slaps the PX value right onto the end of it. And I can control the height of the iframe from a custom field. So there's just this one pattern card component that's used in multiple places. And in this case, it is inside of a loop. That is looping through our layouts. It's looping all of them if the taxonomy is families and a specific term ID, and it gets its term ID dynamically. There's a lot going on here because, again, Etch is a highly capable tool that allows you to do a bunch of fancy shit. And so that's that kind of thing right there. That's what creates the iframes. What I also did is, let me go back there, because if we look at pattern card here, okay, I will turn on JavaScript, and there's probably some JavaScript in here. So there's a bunch of conditions for things right here. So I added a responsive handle. If we want some more real estate in our sidebar here, we can get it. So responsive handle is a button. Here's the JavaScript for that. This is what controls, let me go to the front end and actually go to a pattern. So let's go to, we can go to any of them. Let's go to Hero Golf. This is a little handle right here that allows a real-time inside the iframe responsive view. I put this copy code inside the single instance of a pattern so that it also automatically shows up when the iframe is rendered. I thought that was pretty clever. So you can copy it right from here, or you can visit Hero Golf and it's right there too, right? And I only have to manage. This is all done with like one, component. It's pretty nice, pretty nice. So yeah, it's just a series of templates and like one component for the iframe and some custom fields. Now, what I do is when I build something, let's see, by the way, if my camera works again. Let's see if it's cooled down enough. It's never overheated before. That's wild. I'm gonna have to have a talk with Sony. I can no longer be a Sony sponsor if they're gonna do this kind of stuff. No, nobody sends me free equipment. Okay, it may have just died. It might literally just be dead. I'm gonna have to investigate. It does not appear to want to come back to life today. Okay, so it is what it is. We're almost done anyway. Let me go back to here. Okay, all right. Should have called it patterns and just made the slug etch patterns. Good suggestion. Zach, where were you? Day late and a dollar short, my friend. It's okay. We can live with it. Maybe we could change it at some point. We just change the label without the slug. I don't know. So yeah, it's just a series of templates and a component. Let me get back in. I don't have the admin bar loading on this page because it shows up in all the iframes when I'm logged in, and that's very annoying. So I had to turn it off, and that makes navigating a little bit harder. Okay, so this is the whole site right here. It's an index template. You get a single layout, the layouts archive, the families archive, and the pattern type archive. And that's pretty much it. This is how you browse by type right here. Loop, pattern item. Hey, there's the pattern card again. Same damn component, just used over and over and over again. Getting its data from this loop. See, the loops are different. This is what I was explaining to people about the flexibility of the object prop, right? Like where you can, I do whatever I want with this loop, pop this component in and just say, hey bro, get your data from that loop right there. And it does. And so there's a lot going on here, but what I was gonna say is when I build a pattern, so let's go to Content Hub layout. Hey, look, oh my God, I can get there from right in here. Let's go to Hero Golf, okay? We're at Hero Golf. Look at us go. Look at us go. By the way, you can create new layouts from here. I could just come down here and go bang, 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 bang. I could rapid fire create layouts and then go start to build them if I wanted to. So once I'm done building, there's two pathways. There's the normal pathway that you would take, and then there's a secret pathway. And the secret pathway, the normal pathway is right-click copy. And I take that and then I go, okay, get me back to Gutenberg where the custom field is. And I paste that JSON that I copied right into this box right here. And that auto-populates the click to copy button. I can show you how that's done. So we right-click here, inspect. And so we're using a data attribute called data JSON. Let me go see if we can look at this in Etch. Let's just get anywhere into Etch. And anywhere where that component would be, Families Archive back here, I think. Let's go to, no, it's in the single, isn't it? It's in the single. Single layout. Main, if condition, copy wrapper, copy button. Here we go. Okay, so here you go. Data JSON attribute is this.acf.json. So this is just going to extract that JSON. It's going to throw it in as a data attribute. The JavaScript finds the copy button, grabs the JSON, and uses a copy to clipboard function to copy it to your clipboard. It's fairly simple. And that's it. And that shows up in every single, and this is just pulling in whatever the post content is, which is the pattern itself from Gutenberg. Okay. That kind of explains that. Oh, how do we do it how do we do it the secret automatic way? I'm in the process of implementing this right now, but I will show you. And so if you're kind of building a library like this, you might want to know this. And I'll do a little hidden documentation on it as well, but I'm going to go to the single layout. I'm still being very expressive, even though the camera is not on. So if you're like, I wish I could see him, just know, like you could envision it. Just know I am still giving it my all, okay? So let's go to right click and go set for copy paste to field. Now, not the best label, okay? I need to work that label a little bit. But this is a hidden, it's behind a feature flag that you have to turn on. So it's not normally there in your install. And there's two other flags that define the field and the post types that this should apply to. But when I go set for copy paste to field, it is instantly going to, every time I save this particular post, it is going to, every time I save, update my chosen field with the new JSON automatically. So I never have to remember to recopy and manually paste the JSON ever again. I just say, hey, I want you to monitor this situation, and every time I save, regenerate the JSON into that custom field, which automatically regenerates it into the copy button. And I get to live my life and I don't ever have to manually copy paste JSON ever again. Secret little feature that we built just for this purpose. We'll do some documentation on it. Okay, I think that's gonna have to be it for today because my voice is giving out. The camera quit. How does the camera does not have a cold? Camera does not have a sinus infection. What is it bitching and whining and complaining about? Why is it out to lunch? I'm not out to lunch. I'm still here. Okay. Let's do this. I want you to find a post related to the Mini-GUI. Now, this could be my Facebook announcement for this stream, my Twitter announcement for this stream. It could be the stream itself. Just go to the comments section. I want to know your reaction in words, in written words, to what you saw today in terms of the Mini-GUI, in terms of GUI and code concept, in terms of how this works with recipes and autocomplete and perhaps AI when that arrives on the scene, and dynamic media queries and dynamic container queries and infinite canvas, fluid canvas. Just again, I think you saw the picture today. How do all these pieces come together to form our little Mona Lisa of development? You know what I'm saying? We want your reaction in words. Comment section of the video. You can go in the community and write it. You can write it on Facebook and Twitter. If it's not a response to my post, you can tag me. Whatever you want to do. But I just want to hear what you guys think. Because the chat, I can't go read the chat. I can't go, it goes away as soon as I stop the stream. I don't have time to go back through it. Just find me somewhere. Give me your thoughts. And that's it for today. Hope to myself I feel a little better. Hope the zinc kicks in, gets the job done, knocks this thing out. And that's it. I do really, really, really appreciate every one of you, your support, those who show up every single week, those who are users of Etch, who have purchased Etch. who believe in what we're doing, ACSS users, people who promote and recruit and evangelize. And is that the right word? I don't even know. Went to public school. All right, this is the end of the stream. I love you guys, and I'll see you very soon. Peace.